All right, here's some percentage questions. So we'll start with right at the top. We might as well just number these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6. So the first one, we're going to convert these percentages into fractions in their lowest terms. Now, some of these percentages you'll be able to recognise instantly and should be able to write down the correct answer. So 75%, you should be able to recognise that's 3/4. And the reason is on here, if we just put some, this is a half, which is the same thing as 50%. If we go half again, this is a quarter, which equals 25%. And here's something special. If we go half again, it's 1/8, and that will be 12.5%. So these guys, obviously, we recognise. But if you just go half again, we've got 1/8, and that's 12.5%, because we're just halving the percentage each time. And now if we go down to the bottom here, we can actually build up, because if we put down now this picture here, you can see definitely how this works now. Down here is 3/4, and that is definitely 75%. Okay. While we're on this page as well, it might be useful to have a look at the purple, and you can maybe see that this purple is 1/3 here. Is it pink or purple? And this is 2/3, and special value for 1/3 is 33 and 1/3%, and 2/3 is 66 and 2/3%. So 2/3 of something is 66 and 2/3%. So this is something that you might just like to try and memorise for sure. It should be helpful later on. Going back here then, 40%, we can go steadily. 40 over 100, it will eventually simplify down to 2/5. And then on the bottom, of course, it's hard to use this technique of over 100. We recognise now that this is a special value, and you can see it here, 66 and 2/3% is actually 2/3 of something. So we just write it straight down there, 2/3. And now the 12.5%, you can see why we did this picture. 12.5% is actually equal to 1/8 of something. So it's certainly worth knowing those special percentages and memorising them. Okay, secondly, working out percentages of amounts. So the easiest way, if you have a calculator, is just to change the percentage into a decimal by dividing by 100 and then timesing by 30. So in mathematics, we sometimes have secret codes that translate words into symbols, and certainly for percentages of would usually translate into times. So if we go to our calculator, just to help us, we've got 60 divided by 100 equals, that's 0.6, right? So now we can just pop it on here. That's actually equal to then 0.6 times 30, and you can use your calculator or you can try it in your head, times by 30, that's 18. Okay, now if I just move this out of the way, we'll try the next one. 37.5% of 32. Now this, we're going to do it in the same way, but this is 37.5% times 32. Now one nice way of doing this, if you're a little bit confused with numbers and fractions, is do the half first. 1 divided by 2 equals, and then plus 37 equals. So yeah, 37.5 is 37.5. So if you're ever unsure about how to manipulate with a whole number and a fraction, then you can see in the calculator 37.5. So that should make it a little bit easier now, because I'm going to translate this into 37.5 out of 100 divided by 100 times 32, and you can see that that would be 0.375 times 32, and we're going to go to our calculator again and just get the answer. So divided by 100 equals, times 32 equals, and that's exactly 12. Now you might be able to do that with a mental method, and break it down into 50% and 25% and 12.5%, but we're looking on calculator skills for these ones. And then finally for this video, working out percentage change. Percentage change. Now we have to remember our formula here, and our formula is new, subtract old, in a bracket, divided by old. So this will give us a fraction, and then we times it by 100. Now this matches some of the homework we've been doing on deforestation. And so let's have a little look at the first question, question 5. So the new amount is the final amount. So this is 29, subtract 60. Then we divide it by the old. Then we times by 100. Let's see what that gives us. So 29 minus 60 equals negative 31. So we've had a decrease. And then let's go back to the formula. And it's divided by 60. And that's divided by 60. And then it's times by 100. So that's negative 51.7 to one decimal place. So that's negative 51.7. And so we can see in here, it's a 51.7 and it's a decrease, right? So the negative tells us it's a decrease. So that's quite good. Let's just grab that and move this out of the way now. That can just pop up there for now. And then the last question on this page is question 6. So again, just the formula, it's new. Subtract old, that gives you how much the change is. We need that as a percentage of what it used to be. Okay, and again, 379 minus 158 equals, so the change is 221, and that's out of a percentage out of 158, divided by 158 equals, so it's a 1 point, so this is over 100%, times by 100 equals 139.9%. So this is 139.9, so the increase here is 139.9%, and it's an increase because it's positive. And you might think, well, that's a percentage more than 100. But if you think about it, if I have a certain amount of stuff here, and I increase it by 100%, 100% just means the whole thing again. So this would be an increase of 100%, right? So an increase of 139% would be a bit extra. So this is what I would have after a 139% increase. I've got the original 100% here, and this is an extra 139% here. Okay, so we can have percentages more than 100, and we'll do a little bit more of those a bit later.